Why, hello there everyone, I'm Laxow, aka the Kumo Sensei, and today I'm back with another breeding video. And yeah, I know this is kind of strange because I said that the breeding season was over, but this project here is more of for me personally because I love this species. And the species here is the Neoholothele incei olive, also known as the Trinadad olive, I believe, for the common name. And as you can see, this male actually goes the wrong way, so but don't worry, he wanders around, but eventually he'll go into the female's enclosure. And yeah, here we go. I don't know if you can see the female, but she's in the top left of the video. And you can see her abdomen, she's just chilling there waiting for him. And he's super cautious, but this time he's experienced. And sadly, the female that I did pair, the first one, sadly she passed away. And she was, I believe she was around 7 years old, which is actually a decent lifespan for that species because this is a dwarf species, so they don't get that big, and their lifespan, it's pretty variable. But in terms of my female, the old one, she lived a pretty decent life, so 7 years was actually a pretty decent lifespan for her. But let's not get too sad because let's continue, right? Because this male has a lot more potential to give. Now, in terms of marketability with the species, they're actually not that profitable. okay, hear me out. The first thing you need to understand is that this species is actually readily available. Secondly, this species actually matures pretty quickly, so you can pretty much have a breedable female within a year if the care is optimal. And lastly, they're a dwarf species, so they're kind of small. They max out at around 2 inches in legspan, but I tell you, this species is amazing. They eat like a champ, they web beautifully, and there are 2 color forms. There's a recessive form known as the gold form, and then there's the regular one, which is the olive, as you're seeing in this video. Alright, now he's locking legs. There he goes, guys. This male has all the experience. Now I gotta ask him, how do you do it? Teach me. I'm just kidding, guys. Oh, this male, man. I remember that attempt pairing I did in that video. He was such a wimp. Now this guy has all the experience. He knows how to get all the ladies, am I right? He's as small as Danny DeVito, but he has the charisma of Bruce Willis. I'm sorry guys, I need to stop joking around. But this male is amazing. And don't worry, he survives. Spoiler alert. Most of my males, they typically make it out alive because I'm pretty good at my job. Now this is just my experience with this species, so disclaimer, my experience. But in terms of breeding the species, despite being a dwarf species, I find that females tend to try to eat their males towards the end once the male's done inserting, which is actually kind of strange since they're a dwarf species, you know, being really tiny and all of that. But that's just my experience. I mean, for you and for somebody else, maybe their females are amazing and they treat their males nicely. In my case, not so much. But that's how spider love works. It's like Michael Jackson, you know, slave to the rhythm, kind of like that. But man oh man, this male is actually a really good male now. And for those who don't know, in my opinion, a good male is one that is always cautious and slowly takes his time. Because it's kind of funny because the one male in my experience that only got eaten by a female, that male was a desperate male. He went in so quickly and he went into her burrow and then she just ate him. And that was my only experience with my only male that has ever gotten eaten. Every other male I've ever worked with, I have to make sure that the male was slow, steady, and taking his time. I kind of feel bad for that male that got eaten because her burrow was very deep and also very thin. So he went in so deep into her burrow and he didn't even signal her, which was kind of surprising, and then she just snacked on him. So sadly, I couldn't actually get my tongs or anything to actually stop, you know, preventing that from happening because he was already so deep into her burrow. And for those who are unaware of breeding, typically, in terms of obligate burrowers or tarantulas that bury deep into, you know, the ground and whatnot, typically the male will actually lure the female out from her burrow and not to go into her burrow. But anyhow though, I digress. Now back to the breeding. And as you can see, this male is actually slowly getting his life around. It looks like he's cuddling her and wrestling her at the same time, which I thought was kind of cute because this is a dwarf species and they're kind of And they're kind of cute, I'm not gonna lie. Now I do have another female, and I may or may not actually breed her, I don't know, it really just depends. Next week I would really like to do some tarantula feeding, specifically my Theraphosa's, because now is a good time to feed them. So that might be for next week's video, but we'll kind of have to wait and see, right? But let's work hard so we can give back to the hobby, because that's what is owed. I don't really breed for profit, even though I do make money. I more so breed it as a side hobby-ish sort of thing, but I really have to give back to this hobby. It is something that is owed, in my opinion. And just look at that. He's getting closer, and she is getting closer as well. Now it really looks like they're cuddling. Isn't that cute? But as you can see, my tongs are actually on top of them 24/7, because I'm just super cautious, just to make sure that the male doesn't get eaten. Now I may keep some of these babies if I do get some, but I may not. The last time I produced them, I pretty much just gave them all away, because why not? This species is already readily, available, so profitability, there really isn't much to be gained from breeding this species. But I love them because I think they're amazing, and their personality, despite their small sizes, stand out a lot. So the video pretty much ends here. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to check out my content and see what I'm up to. And I'd like to hear your opinions about this species down below. And with that, stay lax, and Laxow out from the Lukrembo sensei.